I'm very much interested and curious about your transition. You started from a technical and then later on you moved into the sales. How this transition happened?
Yes. How can I describe it? You see, my first job out of college was working for this company that was rolling out the metro fiber network that I am talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this company was kind of a startup. They had a fixed wireless access network that time, around 50 base station sites. Uh, they had customers signing in almost every day, yet the company had less than 30 employees.
Welcome to Vodcast Collaborative with Deepak Bajaj and Parveen Puram, where we delve into the journeys, strategies, and insights of exceptional leaders who are shaping the future of business and innovation. Today, we are thrilled to have Michael, who brings over 20 years of experience in the telecommunication industry and has been at the forefront of driving growth through innovation strategic business development. With expertise spanning across 4G, 5G access solutions, and deep knowledge in both technical and commercial realms, he is a true catalyst for connecting the unconnected and delivering transformative solutions. Just for your information, if you are a mobile subscriber, the access systems are those where you are getting a signals. Just for your information. So he is the one who is actually building a lot of things at the back end. So his engagement towards enabling emerging technology in Africa is remarkable. So today we will delve into his insights, career highlights, and the evolving landscape of sales in the digital connected world. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much, Deepak. It's a pleasure to join you and also an honor to be with you in this podcast.
Thank you. Thank for your presence. I know as a sales, you are a very busy guy, and yeah,
Mm,
every time it's a start of new quarter means a lot of tension also comes along with that.
yeah, lots of pressure.
Lot of pressure. Agree. So, Michael,
Yeah.
I want to start with you to understand who is Michael as a person.
Mm. Okay, I think that's a good way to start. I don't know how can I describe myself. I would say that I am really an enthusiast of technology. Uh, And this is in general, I am excited at how we can solve problems using science and technology, making work easier. And so that's my passion. And I love all aspects of technology, all fields of it. I really have no bias. It just happens that I've been in the telecom industry since, close to 20 years now. And my background has been in telecom because the first job that I got out of college was in telecoms. Yeah, so at that time, telecom was a narrow field, just providing connectivity. But now with the many emerging technologies, with the digital transformation, IoT, telecom is now a part of daily life. So I am happy now that I am able to solve many kinds of problems and also to be involved in the daily lives of most people. So I don't know, maybe that does not describe me, but taking that into account, I say that I'm an enthusiast of technology that loves to contribute towards the solving of problems using the technology. Firstly, as an individual, contributing the technical expertise, but now also as a sales and business development person.
So obviously, we can sense the level of passion which you are explaining. So it itself shows you are a very passionate. You love technology, and I must say, you have you, me, a lot of people working in telecom are fortunate to contribute in this evolving landscape.
Yeah, that's right. It's really an honor, really. And nowadays, almost every individual is a consumer of telecommunications.
Yes,
So
exactly.
yeah, so everywhere you go, even in the remotest village, somehow they are your customers.
And you come from Kenya, which is Eastern Africa. So how
Mm.
that adoption is going on in that part of the world?
Yeah. So There's been plenty of evolution over the years. When I first started working in the year 2004, and I was working for this company where we were rolling out the first metro fiber network in Kenya. And so a lot of people did not even know what the benefits of having a fiber connection to their homes or offices are. And that is a short while ago, less than 20 years ago. But
Mm.
now we have made lots of progress such that in a city like Nairobi, uh, majority of the neighborhoods in Nairobi now have access to fiber. We have had evolution from 2G, then there was 3G and 4G. Now we even have 5G rollouts going on. So there's been plenty of evolution and development over the past 20 years. And I've been fortunate to be involved in most of these.
Yeah, all the faces you have seen.
Yeah, it's a real privilege that we have seen the improvements that have happened, and we have seen people benefit. We have seen lives changed
Yes.
due to the access to the new technologies.
Mm. I'm very much interested and curious about your transition. You started from a technical and then later on you moved into the sales. How this transition happened?
Yes. How can I describe it? You see, my first job out of college was working for this company that was rolling out the metro fiber network that I am talking about. Yeah, so this company was kind of a startup. They had a fixed wireless access network that time, around 50 base station sites. They had customers signing in almost every day, yet the company had less than 30 employees. So they were extremely busy. And in the midst of all this, they were rolling out a fiber network, from scratch. So it so happened that I was involved in the fiber network. I was supporting the contractors that were rolling out the network with access to buildings. And we had to do a lot of education
Yes,
because,
yes.
for instance, it meant digging up the whole city to lay the cables and the ducts underground. And in the middle of town, a five-star hotel, the guests could not sleep because you are busy digging up outside their premises. The bank, you have dug a trench across their entrance. So I found myself having to meet with very senior people owning many of the buildings that we needed to access. And that was quite an experience, really, coming out of college and you find yourself in the thick of this. Yeah,
And
so
when you are
even
learning also, during the transition, you are also learning, how this actually works.
yes, yeah. So from the start, even as a technical person, I found myself having to do a lot of public interactions, a lot of engagements with people. And even though by personality, I would say that I'm an introvert, but being exposed to that from the beginning of my career, helped me to learn that, yeah, you may be able to communicate after all. And so from the beginning, I was able to combine put together the technical and the relationships side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and that is what grew into the sales. So from KDN, I moved to Huawei, another company where I was doing the network design and helping the salespeople with scoping.
Oh,
And
wow.
this, by and by, I got more and more opportunities to meet with customers and be in front of them. And almost every job that I've had from then on, I have been at the intersection of technology and sales. So I do the technology side and support the sales persons with their technological discussions with the customer. As I grew older and more mature, then I gained more trust with my employer so that now I could take full responsibility for the customer business, meaning being now the actual salesperson. But being a salesperson with a technology background helps a lot because you have a deeper understanding of the product that you sell and the issues that the customers may face.
Definitely. And it's rightly mentioned that a person who knows the in and out, which comes from a technical engagements, and then you become a trustworthy person because the person at the other side of the table, they understand, what you're talking about. They understand what the
Mm,
solution which you're bringing on the table, and they understand that
yeah.
as a engineer, what the problem you have seen, and you will bring the real value and the real solutions to combat that problem.
Mm. Yeah, and many times you see when there are complaints from the customers on technical issues on your equipment, the first reaction is to be defensive and try to, explain how it's not your fault and how maybe the customer needs to check something on their side. But having the technology background, I put myself in the customer's shoes and try to feel what it is that they may have seen. 90% of the times the customer is actually right. And there is something that we need to do on our side.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah,
agree.
that's how it helps. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, and very limited people accept this fact. So that's all.
Yeah, it's hard to accept that you need to do more.
Yeah, definitely.
You feel you've done a lot, but there's always more that you can do to, fulfill the requirements.
So you explained this technology evolution very well, 20 years back story, and now the world has changed. But over the time, as now people expect you to grow the sales. So, and the sales strategies has been changed over the time. So what changes have
Yeah.
you seen in the sales processes?
Yeah, in I would say 20 and more years back, the procedure was straightforward because the
Hmm.
customer knew what they wanted, or they had the requirements. And as the salesperson, all you had to do was to be alert, be close to usually the technical side of the customer organization, the CTO, the heads of departments dealing with specific technology products. You had to just be close to them, and they would communicate to you what they wanted, and you would send them your solution to that.
Yeah.
They would send an RFP with the list of requirements, and all I have to do is to ensure that we comply and have the product. And so you interface mostly with the CTO team, maybe occasionally with the CEO, just for sign off, and that was
Hmm.
it. Yeah, but today, there are many more people involved in the customer organization, because as the salesperson, I have to think not just what do the technology people want, but what do the actual customers, especially in this B2B, the business to business sales. I have to think who the customers of my customer.
Yes.
I have to
And
think, I have to be in that mindset. What do the mobile consumers of my mobile service provider customer, what do they want, what kind of customers is this provider targeting? What is their income? What is their spend? What kind of features do they want? And for this kind of thing, it is necessary to interact with the commercial people also in the customer organization. So I have to speak with the sales people. I have to speak with the marketing people. Sometimes accompany them to their promotions. See what really is the status on the ground. And based on the information you get from that, then bring this back to the technology people. You will still have to reconcile what I see on the ground with the technological requirements, because still the solution has to be implemented from a technology point of view. So I need to reconcile this with the tech people, get their input, then go back again to the commercial people, get them to align. So, and maybe you never know, man, the finance people might also want to be involved
yeah.
because of budget. There are usually many competing projects, and we need to prioritize. Procurement people need to be, you need to align with them to see which projects are the priority. So what I see now is that the stakeholders to every small sales project, they are cutting across the organization, not just one or two contact people that you need to interact with, but you need to interact with a very diverse spectrum of persons, both in roles in terms of the departments that they are dealing with, but also seniority. So we need alignment from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's a much more complex process, but if you are ready to follow it, it works. Then also, there's also the impact of the CRM tools. In the past, it was simply how your relationships with the customer, but now there are also a lot of internal reportings that we need to do. Man, a lot of salespeople hate the CRM, but
Yeah.
my feeling is that you take the time to input the information into the CRM tool, then this helps you later. And even if you move on to other positions, it helps whoever takes over from you, they're able to get into the account and run with it without an extremely long onboarding process.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that's it though. I still feel that there's need for salespeople on the ground. I know there's lots of automation going on, but you still need the
Human
people that
relation,
will work the target.
human relation cannot be replaced by the automation or robots.
Yeah. Maybe certain parts of the sales administration, but
Yeah.
they still need for the human being in the system.
People buy from the humans, right? So they need someone whom they can
Yes,
count upon, and they
yes,
and I really love your statement that getting the information from the ground, which means you are doing actually a reverse engineering to understand what the end person needs, so that every dollar which your client organization is spending, they should understand that where this how they are able to calculate the ROI
yeah.
mid to long term.
Yeah, where did this dollar come from? It's not just sitting in the bank. It's
Yes.
come from maybe, in Kenya, majority of the population is not rich. So
Hmm.
this dollar has come from people of low income. They have prioritized the spend on your network.
Right.
So it helps when you have that mindset. You take your work a little more passionately.
Sure, sure. No, thanks for bringing that thing, because most of the people don't do the real groundwork, and that's the reason they struggle a lot. But yes, that comes
Yeah.
with experience, as you mentioned. So again, it you made me curious, because you handle technical, now you are talking on the sales, and still you are growing your both the knowledge, right? Technically and
Yes.
technically. So how you are managing these two?
Yeah, the thing is to not let any side suffer. Yeah, I
Hmm.
try to keep updated with the technology at the same time that I try to develop my human relationship skills. I mentioned already that personality-wise, I am not the kind of person that is outgoing from the get-go. So it takes tremendous effort to be able to engage people on a regular basis. So
Hmm.
I need to, have that self-awareness and keep tapping into that, keep trying and make it work. But again, the technology, I am not, the thing is that when you do sales and technology, uh, I would say that I have not had the opportunity to be that deep and hands-on
Hmm.
into the technology side. So, I'm not the person that you will give a bunch of equipment and say, hey, I need this setup in this
Hmm.
side of the country. Can you go and do it? I may struggle. What somebody may do in a week, it might take me much longer. But I feel that having a broad-based view of the, many different components of the network, from the radio, transmission, core, even the cloud, IT services. So as the salesperson, it behooves you to learn each of these. You may not be able to dive in as deeply as the subject matter expert can, but at least to some
Some level.
acceptable level of depth, I am compelled to do that, while also sparing time for the relationship side of it. So it's a balancing act, but we keep doing what is necessary to get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, when you have a technical stuff and understanding, you are able to explain in both the terms of technology and the business impact. That's what
Yeah,
get from us.
Yeah, you can say this is what needs to be done. This is the equipment you need, and this is what it will cost you.
It will
And
cost.
this would be the impact on your business. You might spend this amount now, but this is what you will get, in terms of the top line from the services that would be enabled with this product, or from the savings that would be enabled. So this kind of insight.
And
Yeah.
handling this with technical teams is not so easy, right? So you have to speak that language so that
Yes.
which they understand.
Yeah, you have to speak the technology language, and at the same time, you have to speak the commercial language, because
Yeah.
the finance guy has this budget that to spend for the year, and there are over 50 different projects asking for that.
Hmm.
How do you get them to prioritize your project? And
Very.
also the commercial teams, you might need them to help you to advance your agenda. If they say, man, we have this target of customers on this side of the country, and this technology will help us to penetrate this market. And this is the revenue that we project will come from that. So it's okay to spend this amount of money, because we shall get maybe 10 times more within a few months. Not that
Yeah.
kind of reasoning. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's why it helped to merge the technology and the commercial.
Very well said. You remember me those days, where such type of discussions, we start from the
Yeah.
discussion, move into the argument in the close,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the money matters, right? And money
Yeah. That's
depends on the priorities.
yeah. Money talks eventually. That's the final speaker. So,
Mm.
and I think one aspect that I have been paying some attention to lately, because many of us from the technical background, and even once we learn to do the sales, there's still the aspect of the finance,
Yeah.
which many of us did not pay much attention to. So we need to have some appreciation of the financial, I don't know, financial engineering that the finance people do in order to arrive at the budget for your project. Things like the ROI, the net present value, things that I had really
Yeah.
not thought about. So when later you hear your project has been declined by the CFO because of reasons you have no idea, and
Correct.
so now it helps to think what the financial impact of my project should be based on a 5-year projection. Yeah, so
Mm.
this kind of financial modeling needs to be taught to salespeople in addition to the technology. And yeah,
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, the technology is meant to make the things easy with the help of this
yeah,
automation, and all the every customer in this world want to get that benefit. They don't want to spend extra
yeah,
money because you're bringing technology. They want to reduce their costs because you have bring the technology, right?
yes,
Mm.
yeah. So it will cost me this much now, but I anticipate I may save this over time, which is more than what I'm spending now.
Correct.
Or it will earn me more money over this time period than what I will invest at the moment. Then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
futile.
Otherwise, it become a transaction. So they need
Yeah,
a partner who can work with them for the
yeah,
longer duration, like 3 years contract, 5-year contracts. But no one wants to have it
yeah,
for just a 1-year contract.
yeah, yeah,
The definition of these agreements has been changed. But yes, thanks for bringing those things about the right elements in the finance, the ROI, the investment, the last moment
yes.
surprises, the why this project has been declined internally. So thanks for bringing, and this is going to give a lot of information to the people who are listening to us, especially studying the
Wow,
same.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you. I now move into the next question, which is very important and also close to my heart, is that managing the key accounts and handling the complex deals, which is a nightmare
yeah,
for most of the sales people, right? So,
yes.
what is your advice, and what you believe that what are the critical elements of building and maintaining maintaining this successful client relationship?
Mm. Yeah, so firstly, I would say is to be available. So be available to the customer when they need anything from you, but also have lots of patience and time for the customer. And think of the sales cycle as being not 1, 2, 3 meetings and
Done.
we have the deal. You know,
No.
the cycle is, I would say 8 months to a year. And in Africa, the cycle is even longer because customers have budgets that have many competing projects.
Yeah.
So many times it will take a year, many times it will to close the real deals that will change the, your performance. So
Mm.
approach the customer today, but be ready for a very long, multiple conversations, many iterations. Be ready to do the proof of concept, and does not mean that just because you've completed the POC now, the next thing is the purchase order.
Yeah.
There is still a lot that comes, and that is where now the engagements with the other teams, comes into play. So I
Mm.
will, my first interaction may be with the CTO, but before you get the final deal, it will be necessary to have had the buy-in from almost every department within that company. So that,
Uh,
yeah, so I think when doing business development, you play the long game. Nothing happens quickly, and
mm.
there is no favorite. People usually talk about having your sponsor within the company organization, but it's okay to have the sponsor. But what if other people do not buy in?
Yeah.
So consider every stakeholder within the organization as an important contact.
Yeah. You have to cultivate.
The relationship. Yeah, you need
Yeah.
to cultivate relationships with everybody.
Right. Right.
Yeah, in the past we had the one guy who we thought we could push everything and that's it. But
Actually, the
now we have to
organizations,
cultivate.
even the client organizations, are not meant to take a decision by a single person. Even
Yeah,
that could be the end user, but they don't want that the decision should come from him or from that department only.
exactly. Yes.
Well,
So you put too much pressure on the one person when he has to consult the entire organization before he makes the decision.
Now, so
Yeah, so it's important to be mindful of that.
understanding this whole organization structure, hierarchies, their processes, their buying criteria
Yeah.
is very, very important in the game of the sales.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and,
Thank.
and now every company nowadays has the corporate governance that must be adhered to. So it helps if you, as the account manager, takes time to understand the governance structure of every customer that we work with.
And after spending 20 years, how is your now for you, how it looked like? Is it an easy game for you, or you are still getting some sort of resistance, pushback,
Oh man,
or you are
it
habitual of that?
doesn't get, I don't know, man. It does not get easier. Every time you think now this year will be easy, I've done everything, but always new challenges keep coming up. Uh, what I would say is that after 20 years being around in the market for long, then I have built up the relationships. I know people in almost every telecom company in almost every country in Africa. So that helps, rather than somebody coming in and needing to build up these relationships afresh. But still, just because you know all these people does not mean when you walk into the offices, they give you the orders. You still have to do your work. They also have their jobs to do. And you have to, make your case in a professional manner, in a manner that makes sense to them, in order that they may buy in. So that is what I'm learning. In fact, the more you know the people, the harder you have to work.
Very well said. And you actually touch base upon the real problem. Not only just knowing people means you get a business. You have to do the
Yeah.
same hard work, same effort, same educational session, because now the customer is also getting an education from a lot of competitors. So they already
Oh,
have a,
yeah. Yes.
they are already two steps ahead from, what we are going or you are going to pitch to them.
Yes, and actually you mentioned something important because uh, when you interact with the customer deals with this equipment on a daily basis.
Mm.
Sometimes they know your own equipment better than you do. Actually,
Right.
most of the time, that is it. So you have to make the effort. I am not teaching them things that they do not know, but just having exploratory discussions with them. Many times the idea will come from the customer that this is what we need to do. Then I find what our input to that would be. So actually the requirements should come from the customer side rather than from us. What we used to do in the past is we would, every time we had feature releases, I would go with a presentation to the customer and say, hey, look at all these wonderful features that we have available. Take them. This is the cost. But nowadays you learn that the customer also has access to the 3GPP roadmap. They know what is coming. They've seen the same presentation from your competitors. So just understand what they want and fulfill the requirement. That's it. Rather than pushing the catalog to them.
Right, right. And obviously, they generally do a comparison. Okay, they are good with these lot of features, fancy features, but they also try to find out whether they really need it. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's where the lot of differences comes into. I may
yeah,
buy Mercedes, but I'm happy with my Sentro or the Hyundai. That's what the
yeah. If what you're bringing me with will cost me 4 times what I have now.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Uh, you mentioned a lot about Africa, right? The customers, because the place where you are working, and this is your native place. But we want to know Africa from your perspective. How the actual
Mm.
Africa looks like.
Okay. Yeah. So my my understanding, what I've come to appreciate over the years is that when we see the new technologies emerging in other parts of the world, immediately my next action should be to see how to activate the same technologies here. You see, the requirement of a bank in the US ultimately will not be very different from the requirements of the bank here. An insurance company in India will, if there's an efficiency that they get from automating or using AI for certain processes, an insurance company in Kenya will get the same benefit if we implement the same technology that has been done in India. So every new technology that emerges, there is the opportunity to implement that in Africa. So the advantage that we have in Africa, it's both an advantage and a disadvantage. So the advantage we have currently is that many times these products will be deployed on a greenfield. So we are not ripping and replacing, rather we are deploying it fresh. So if I'm selling a cloud solution to some bank, they do not, most likely they have not already deployed a large data center or have all these kind of mainframes that are already running so many workloads that they cannot afford to, to replace, or such that the project to transform that digitally would take a whole year. In Kenya, I would be, or in Africa generally, I will be deploying that system from scratch with a fresh architecture and in the most efficient manner. So that is the advantage that there is here in deploying new technologies. The challenge, of course, is economical because there are always lots of competing projects. I keep mentioning that word, right? There are always 20 or 30 different things that the customer wants to do, and the budget for that is limited. But the advantage again is that this is where you get to appreciate the role of a technical person that also understands the commercial. Because any initiative that I take to optimize the configuration such that there is a cost savings or a capex savings will go a long way towards getting the solution approved. In addition, lowering the cost frees up money for other projects. So the customer then will be happy with that. And also the very important is that the impact of the solutions can be seen almost immediately. So if we deploy a new technology and suddenly in the place where they had no internet, now they are able to connect and communicate and do mobile money transactions, the impact of that is felt almost immediately. And also in many other, if we enable banks to expand to new regions, the impact of that in terms of financial inclusion, participation in the digital economy, these things, we feel them almost immediately. We can see an increase in the incomes of the people on the ground. We can see changes in their health, lifetime outcomes, education levels. So it means that even as a technology salesperson, the impact of my work can be felt on the ground within a very short period of time.
Very well said. And that is also your mission, right? As you always mention, that enabling emerging
Yes,
technologies in Africa.
that's right. Yes.
Yeah. And but I just want to know one level, want to go one level down. Specifically, what is the adoption rate? How the Africa or the Africans are adapting the new changes which is happening? You know, are they acceptable? Are they welcome it? Or what is their opinion of new changing world? Like the smartphones, I take example, or how they are
Yeah.
happy to being connected or remain socially connected.
Yeah. So the most significant factor is always the cost. You had the experience of the mobile companies that had operated in India and set up operation in Africa. And when they reduced the call rate, the cost per minute, in India, it means people made more calls, so they had more revenue. But in Africa, it means the money that they saved from that, they used it for other other needs. So it had the opposite effect. And so that's what happens here. When we enable new technologies, what is the financial implication for the end users? Do I need a smartphone when I cannot afford a smartphone? In that case, does this solution only run through an app that is only on the smartphone? Then the uptake may not be as as rapid as you think.
Yes.
It may take a while. So perhaps you might subsidize the smartphone so that this can happen. But I would say that generally everyone is receptive to new technology. Meaning Kenya is one of the as I believe the world's highest rate of mobile money. And simply because the implementation of the mobile money is such that you do not need an expensive phone to do it. And it enables you to use your money, keep your money online rather than always having it in your pocket. So everyone is receptive to new ideas. Everyone wants to try them. But ultimately, what will it cost me? And do I have the financial resources to enable me to do it? So the poorest person in the village has the same mentality as the CFO of the largest MNO. Yeah.
Right. Very well said, because at the end of the day, both are managing the financial.
Yes, yes, yes. The cost, that's all. Even when we want to implement the cloud, we want to do the digital transformation. So we go to the SMEs, we go to the enterprise customers. And we have the wonderful proposal on how they can migrate all their workloads to the cloud. But what will be the cost? Will I set up a cloud subscription and within a year, I'm spending more on this solution than my entire revenue?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so these are the things
CapEx,
to consider.
OpEx, need, the other dependent factors. So yes, you rightly mentioned.
Yes, and the thing here then is with a real technology expert that also has appreciation of finance and marketing and also the general economy. So if you are a broad-based, broadly aware salesperson, then you are able to propose solutions to your customers that make sense, that will sell. But just going to your company's catalog and saying, this is the new product, I have a target to roll it out this year, here it is, that will not work. It will be a very difficult year for you.
Yeah, yeah. I have given a target, so please buy.
Yeah, buy it, man.
Later we will find what's the use case, so it doesn't work. It doesn't
Yeah,
work.
no,
Sale
no.
doesn't work like that.
Yeah. I guess it doesn't work anywhere, but most importantly here because of the financial aspect.
Yeah, I agree. Hmm. Your role is primarily on the strategic decision making, right? So what factors you consider while qualifying the opportunity which you are getting?
Mm. Yeah, usually it's what do the customers want? Generally in this country, in this region, what do the customers want based on my interaction with them? There's no point going to them with things that they don't want, but still it is worthwhile to share with them what we can do. Perhaps the information that we share may give them some fresh perspective. But after a few interactions with the customer, you can get what they want. The customer will communicate verbally or non-verbally or in a long story, but within the story, there are certain salient points within it that as the salesperson, you should listen and get the real point that they are trying to express. So based on the customer requirement, and if we have the solution to that, there's nothing worse than when the customer has a requirement and has the budget and needs it now, then I have nothing to offer him. We do not have the solution. And it has happened before. So you left a large deal on the table simply because you do not have the product for that. When many times it's something that can be fulfilled either through third-party partnerships or just a little optimization or enhancements within your own product developments. So be ready to listen to the customer, get the requirement. If you have the product, propose it and deploy it speedily. If you do not have the product, then be ready to have the interactions within your own organization. So I should be able to communicate with our product development teams to prioritize the enabling of certain features or the research and development, or even just our procurement. Can we get this from a third-party supplier and do it? Yeah, so that's it. But we need to understand the effort that is required to fulfill the requirement and if it is worthwhile to follow it.
Yeah. It's very important also. Yeah, if you are not able to serve, leave the deal. There's no point of setting a wrong expectation and then going beyond and then
Yeah.
backing off. So it creates a dent. It brings a dent on the relationship that one wants.
Yeah, and sometimes, it doesn't. There's no point if you cannot fulfill, leave it. Focus on what you can deliver.
No, I agree. I thank you for bringing because not all the deals are for you. Some deals are already
Mhm.
structured, so it's better to not to burn the hands. Obviously, it doesn't mean that you should not stop talking with the customers. Engagement will be should be,
Yeah,
but you should know what where should be your heart stop.
yeah. Though for me, I always try to any requirement, I always try to see if we can fulfill it. So
Yeah, that.
whether we take the effort internally or get it from partners, but as the salesperson, it's always good to help the customer to solve the problems that they have. It's a good feeling when you're able to be the trusted partner to your customer.
And yeah, and as a sales guy, it's a responsibility also to bring something
Yeah,
and create a value to the customer.
that's right. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Yeah.
Uh, as you have managed complex deals, different projects which you have, uh, executed in the past. So, can you share some example? What are the problems you face, or some of the projects which you still remember that was very
Mhm.
complicated and that was a nightmare for you some time?
Mhm. Yeah, so the experience really is that almost every time that you have a large sales project,
Hmm.
the kind of projects where you have a conference call with 60 people logging in, and there's usually the one bid manager and 60 people participating. And these usually turn out to be a nightmare for everyone. The customer will not be happy, the management will not be happy. It's a constant state of back and forth, fighting. We even risk losing the deal, you see. So, but
Yeah.
what I have realized is that out of the 60 people, there are always the individual contributors that are doing the actual work. There are
True.
many supervisors and supervisors of supervisors, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
all
yeah.
get into the call and have a lot of brilliant ideas.
Hmm.
But out of 60, there'll be 5 to 10 people that are doing the actual work.
Hmm.
So my approach is to engage directly with the individual contributors and see what they need. What support do you need to fulfill this? And usually the requirements are not complex to meet. The requirements of the supervisor might make it look extremely hard, but the actual person doing the delivery knows what needs to be done. And these are the people that I interact with. Of course, with you have to keep their managers in the loop, right? It's you do not bypass the structure of the organization. But because it's a project in which we are all involved, it is right to speak to the individual contributor and get their requirements and find the way in which the organization can support them to deliver in their role. And I have found that with this approach, even the most difficult project somehow uh, manages to get fulfilled.
You get a
Even the
green light.
most difficult bidding process, by the end of it, you will have the proposal out.
Definitely, definitely. And oh yeah, you rightly mentioned that when it's always a criteria that bringing a lot of people will create a different sort of mental pressure when you are
Yes,
time of negotiation. It could be a technical discussion, technical evaluation, or the commercials. The situation
yeah,
remains same.
yeah. So because everyone has a point of view, everyone has brilliant ideas, but
Yeah,
you do not have the whole year. You have perhaps 2 or 3 weeks to deliver the proposal. So
true.
while you might be having a daily meeting that 60 people log in,
Hmm.
but it helps to have the actual subject matter experts and
Hmm.
individual contributors able to do their job and
Hmm.
complete in good time and put it all together and submit.
And every person, have the different perspective of the same problem. So
That's right. Yeah.
someone would like to know about the execution, someone would like to about the future roadmap, someone would like to know about,
Yeah.
how much you know about us, So
Yeah.
most of them are, different.
Everyone and everyone's viewpoint is valid. I mean, they all are. everyone has the best interest of the company at heart.
Yeah.
And you also have the understanding that everyone is competent. That's why they work for this organization. So we cannot dismiss any point of view. We just need to be able to handle them in the manner that will enable us to do the task at hand.
Rightly said, rightly said.
Yeah.
And that is also one of the skill which the person has to learn, how to handle the
Yeah.
people virtually. That is another
Yes. Yes.
big thing.
Because they are not people that report to you. You cannot put them on disciplinary. Many times there are people that are senior to you,
Yes.
but you need to handle them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now this lead to another point. The stakeholders are okay, but when you go to the C level, and their expectation gets changed immediately. They don't talk about
Yeah.
all technicalities. Even they don't talk about the budgets, right? They only talk about, they give you the mandate. So how you handle
Yeah.
such situation with the C level, and
Yes.
also maintain the relationship with them.
Yeah. So firstly, it depends on how close the relationship is between myself and them. If they are those that I have known for a long time and have a long relationship with, maybe they are friends of mine, then just a friendly conversation will get the job done. But not every C-level person is familiar with you. And one thing also we have to respect is that these guys are always busy. So they do not like to be kept with endless interactions, endless calls, endless emails, and all that. So I try to keep the interactions as relevant as possible. So I will not call you if it is not necessary. Just to get a status update, when is our PO coming? I do not call the CTO for that. But any interaction with the CTO has to be something that will push our project forward.
Yes.
So the interaction, we have to be very mindful. Sorry. Yeah, we have to be very mindful of the CTO's time and responsibilities. So that is how I handle it. But I try to make every meeting with the senior level people as impactful as possible. It is pointless to have a meeting with the CEO and come out of that with nothing. Then, the next meeting you will get maybe months from now. So,
Yes, exactly.
or you may never get another meeting. So the preparation has to be good. We must get in knowing what we want from that meeting. And I must communicate that to him beforehand, that I have a meeting with you on this date, and this is what I am hoping to achieve from that meeting.
Yeah.
And when we get to the meeting, get straight to it, talk about what the agenda is. Usually these guys are straightforward. They tell you this will happen, this will not happen. And that's it. Take what you are given and find a way to make that work for you. Find
Right.
a way to move it to the next step. If they tell you it will take a longer time, find a way to speed up the process, because usually there are ways in which you can speed up the process, either by taking certain additional actions, offering certain discounts, offering more products, optimizing the configurations, understanding the actual requirements. So that's how I would approach it. Yeah, make the meeting impactful, have only the necessary meetings, and have only the necessary communication. But very important is that we must communicate everything openly. It's usually painful when they discover certain things when we've moved very far into the project. So we must ensure that they are kept abreast on every action that we are doing.
Very well said. And the second thing important is, when you have done your homework properly, and especially the customer experience which you said, they
Yes,
love to understand what is going on.
that's right. Yes. If they don't, then you might be thinking you're getting the order next week. Then you realize nothing is happening. So it's important to have all the stakeholders in the loop. It helps even when I hate when I tell my management that I'm getting you that thing, the order next week. Then 2 months later, nothing has happened. So what kind of conversations do it makes it very awkward, the conversations with your management. Yeah.
Right, right, right. And especially when you don't know the reason behind it.
Yeah, that's right. So a minute, please. Give me a second, please. Okay, sorry, there's a flu going around.
Now take care of your health and thanks for
Yeah,
giving the time still, in this condition. Thank you.
yeah, no, it's all right.
Now, you come from a technical telecom background with a great sales experience. So how you think the future of, 5G, AI, digital adoption in the Africa region?
Yeah, I think the uptake will be huge. The uptake will be quite significant, and there's already some 5G deployments ongoing,
Mhm,
but this has been on a very small scale. So I
mhm,
expect that from this year onwards, there'll be an acceleration in that. Um, I believe that certain providers may have the 5G deployed in a large part of their network. When 4G came, initially it was thought that this would only be for certain very dense urban areas.
mhm.
But the impact has been that many providers are now having 100% of their sites on 4G.
Correct.
And I think that 5G will also be the same, even though it also depends on the availability of the spectrum. Because, in terms of band spectral efficiency, the jump from 4G to 5G is really not there. So if I have the same 10 megahertz spectrum or 20 megahertz spectrum, migrating that from 4G to 5G does not really make sense. So unless you have additional spectrum, you have another 100 megahertz that you will have access to, then with this we can roll out 5G. Well, even 50 megahertz, but not 10. Yeah,
Yeah.
so there will be greater rollouts of 5G, but only for the companies that will be able to access the spectrum. Then there'll also be private 5G.
Mm,
That's an avenue that I think in 2025 onwards will grow. So many enterprises, industries will we will take up the 5G as part of their digital transformation process, and also just to improve the efficiencies within their organizations. So I think 6G is still a long way off, so we may not be
correct.
able to talk about it right now. Maybe 5 to 10 years from now, maybe we'll see that. But for 5G, there will be significant acceleration in the uptake. And
Yeah.
also AI, my feeling is that, especially with the improvements in the capabilities of the AI that is available now,
Hmm.
with the GPT, with the AI agents, I think lately there's been much hype about the AI agents. And what we would like to know is what the improvement in cost for an enterprise organization between deploying AI agents versus purchasing software from software developers.
Yeah.
Is it advantageous to have your own bespoke AI agent deployed for your insurance company, for instance, or does it make sense to just buy the insurance claims management software from whoever? So it remains to be seen because AI is very dependent on the statistical and mathematical background and the computing. But
Yeah.
because of the deployment of data centers especially in this region, a lot of countries are going to deploy a lot of data centers.
Mhm.
Currently, there are very few, and that is partly the reason why cloud and AI adoption is not as high as it should be. But I've seen lots of projects in the pipeline for rolling out of data centers. A lot of venture capital firms are looking to set up very large data centers in this region. So there will be also an acceleration in the uptake of AI solutions and also cloud. One thing though, I think is that the capability of channel partners to enable this. I think there's still some work to be done towards developing channel partners that are able to work with the providers of the cloud and AI solutions. So we need improvement in terms of their technical ability, but also their financial ability. So that once the channel partners here improve on that, they are especially the financial capability, which can be done with access to financing from certain providers, then the uptake of cloud and AI will also significantly increase.
Very, very well said. And specifically I think both the adoptions, whether it's a 5G or AI, they go in parallel because AI can really
Yes,
create a lot of transformation even if your system are a legacy old, right? So that can immediately
yes,
need a immediate 5G or 6G beyond as of now.
yeah. Yeah, you
That
see, if the AI is deployed in the cloud, but you need the 5G to reach the end user to be able to take advantage of all these heavy compute that is in the cloud. So I think that's as what I said in the beginning, that telecommunication is now an integral part, even though it's an invisible part, but it's a very important part of everyday life of everyone. Almost every aspect of your daily life is now dependent on the telecommunication.
Right, very well said. I know this topic is something very close to your heart and it will go on and on. So I have to put a
Yeah,
heart on this particular topic because, I cannot, you can write a full book on this. I know about it. But in the,
uh,
in,
yeah. The ideas keep coming.
yeah, definitely, definitely. And that's
Yeah.
make you a genius and the expert in your domain. I directly move on to the last question. Specifically, what is your advice to the professionals who want to pursue their career in the sales role? So what advice you want to
Mm.
give them?
I My advice is to be humble and have tremendous respect for the customers. I think that is what has worked for me. I listen to the customers 100%.
Hmm.
What they want is what I do. And also respect the customer's background. Many times as salespeople, we do not appreciate the pressure that our, the people that we interact with on the customer side go through. I am selling to the technical guy, but this guy also has the responsibility to keep the service on
Yeah.
in the whole country, and is probably receiving complaint calls from customers. So we need to be actively involved in trying to solve or helping to solve many of these problems, especially if there are problems that are arising due to the products that we sold. If there's a service outage in one side of the country in which they deployed our products, we should be actively involved in helping to resolve some of these issues. Yeah, so
Hmm.
what I would do as an aspiring salesperson is to get involved more with the customer people. Do not sit too much in the back office. That's a mistake, actually, I feel like I made at some point in my career. I
Hmm.
was too focused on building the solutions and sending out the documentation, and stayed away from certain meetings with customers that would have helped me to better understand the customers. So now I would advise anyone, no matter how young you are, even if you are just a few months old in the industry, every opportunity to interact with the customer, take it. Every meeting with the customer, go. And any event that the customer is holding, if they invite you, go. If you can meet their end customers also, that is even better. That would be my approach. I wish I had taken this advice years ago.
No worries, but your message is learned and heard by 35,000 people globally. I'm pretty sure they will understand, and most of the people are still making the mistakes. But your refined advice will help many of them, believe me. And thank you for
Yeah,
being
man.
accepting.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and it also gave me a one more thought that if you are in front of the customer will take you seriously. They will
Yeah,
also
yeah.
do a lot of testing, how serious you are.
Yes, yes. And many times, once you have a few interactions with the customer, they allow you to walk into their office as you want. So take advantage of that, man.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
and you learn lots of things that you would never learn if you kept away.
Definitely, definitely. So thank you, Michael, for sharing your valuable insights and your time and your experience with us. Believe me, not all the people share their experience very openly, and I'm very fascinated with your learnings and the way you explained to us. So thank you so much. Any last message which you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, no. So also thank you. I have watched a few of your videos and I appreciate the effort that you are taking to educate many of us that are in this industry. I wish we had access to this kind of advice early on, but it's never too late. So I would say that you keep doing this, keep reaching out to us. And it was really an honor for me when you invited me to this session. And I enjoy the interaction. And I hope that we can keep having more of this content and keep learning from each other.
Definitely, definitely. And your thoughts, your experience, and your openness to share is something which most of the people don't have it. So thank you and keep the spirit high because this is something makes you a different personality, a different person altogether.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the feedback.
Thanks, Mike. And anyone wants to connect with you, what is the approach? How you are accessible and available?
Oh, yeah, I can give my email. I can, maybe you'll put it into the chat.
Yeah, I will put it. I will.
So I will send you my email address and you can put it there. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Mm.
I will share my LinkedIn profile and
I will tag.
feel
I
free
will tag. I will
to
tag.
connect with me. Yeah, so anybody can feel free to connect with me. I accept all connection requests and I strive to also respond to every message that I receive.
Great. I'm pretty much sure your messages is going to get flooded after this podcast.
Uh, that will be so much fun.
Definitely. So thank you, Michael, once again. And to the
Yes,
audience, until next time, this is Deepak Bajaj signing off. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.